picture? All right, we're good.
So Community Service Commission meeting, we'll go ahead and call to order at 5:32 p.m. Reminder for all commissioners and staff to speak clearly and loudly into the microphone to ensure quality recording is made of tonight's meeting. I'm going to turn off our phone. Item number 2, approval of November 9th, 2022 community service minutes.
Meeting minutes, November 9th.
Item number 3, public. All in favor, say aye. Public comments. Any person may directly address the commission at this time on any item not on the agenda or on any item that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. A maximum 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker. Public comment, no public comment. Item number 4, Prop 68 per capita grant update on the Asphalt Park restroom. Director.
All right. Well, good evening, commissioners. Thanks for attending tonight's meeting. Hope everyone had a great holiday season, but we're going to get back into the swing of things for Parks and Rec related issues. So tonight's agenda item is the Asphalt Park restrooms update. So the last time we met, we had discussed the purchasing of the prefab restrooms for Asphalt Park. This commission last January and February, approved a design for the restrooms at the park. And so those were taken to council, approved. Public Works and Engineering have been working on the process of getting those ordered. They have been ordered, and it looks like the project completion is still set for March and April of this coming year. So in front of you, I do have the black and white rendering of the project itself. It doesn't show the restrooms, but it gives you just a brief schematic of what Asphalt Park looks like currently, with the fitness court, the play structure, and then it highlights the area where the new concrete will be poured for the restrooms. And again, it's this black and white kind of rendering. So it'll be a 2-stall restroom, just like you initially suggested. The restroom doors will be facing the street, so that they're easier to monitor with public safety. And then they'll have one utility closet that'll hold supplies for anything that's needed for the restrooms. And then the additional concrete, the concrete pad is much larger than the restroom's footprint, but the entire envision of the project is to see additional benches, pavilions, gazebos, and stuff like that in the future down the road. And so with that, I'd just like to share that with you. And this commission will have the option, or you have the option to discuss tonight, possible grand opening or ribbon cutting for the restrooms. The last time we did something like that was for the Asphalt Park play structure and fitness court. And I think it's only fitting that we kind of do the same thing for this portion of the project. So maybe we can discuss, or have another subcommittee just kind of discuss some dates, maybe May. We're thinking if completion is shooting for March, April, maybe sometime late May, early summer, to get out there and do something with the community and kind of bring them all back to the park, just to spotlight it again. So any questions you have, I'm happy to answer, or any other input that you have on this project itself, and what's funded to the state. This was the Prop 68 capita grant money, so this was the non-competitive funds, and the city does have to come up with a portion of the final project cost, but the majority of it will be covered by the state. So with that ends that report for me.
My party planner hat. Would we have any kind of budget, or would this be, because we talked last meeting about different ways to be in front of the community for a multitude of reasons around community services, and this would be one of those perfect times to do that. So are we thinking, like ribbon cutting / food? Because And again, that can mean, food trucks, or that can mean hot dogs, I mean,
Yeah. So we can definitely sit down and discuss that. I don't think there are any limits to what we might be able to put on. For example, when we did the play structure and fitness court, we did have Uptown Sprouts. They came, and we paid them to come out and do, punch, tea, cookies, popcorn, just kind of concessionary type stuff. We did have a sound system that came out. And because it's a community project, a lot of that is, either donated or discounted in price, because it is a community project. So we can definitely discuss something like that, and, definitely maybe get some food trucks out there, or if we do free hot dogs for the community and have the police and fire department, go out there and cook them, that could be a partnership that we have with other departments with the city. And, so if you'd like to help me with that, I'm more than happy to take your input, and anyone else, we can sit down and kind of just discuss, what we'd like to see and who we'd like to invite. Obviously, we'd invite people from the state, council members, and other people that would be interested in helping us with that, so.
Got it. And we're looking at doing the ribbon cutting, May?
I think so. I mean, with your input, whatever you guys think might be best. I mean, I know May, schools are getting out, weather's warming up, Swedish Festival is always that third weekend. But with construction, knowing that, they're shooting for late spring, I don't want to do it exactly right on the, and have to move things around a bit. We can kind of give them some breathing room and.
Definitely, because we have to account rain. We've had a rainy season, so
Correct.
Yeah.
we don't know what's coming.
It might even be good if we do it even after Swedish Festival, because I think we had talked about having a booth, so that might be a good time to also advertise the ribbon cutting.
Okay.
Yeah, it starts getting hot, but we could do something in the morning.
There we go, okay. Like a breakfast type thing, and the schools are in session, we could always have them, come over, since they're right there, at least Reagan, right? So, okay, yeah, we could definitely work on that. So Commissioner Johnson, is that something you'd be interested in kind of helping, just kind of take a look at and see how we want to, lay that out, okay? Anyone else interested? Sarah? Okay, yeah, yeah.
Item number 5, dog park discussion and update, and subcommittee.
Alrighty. So Commissioners, I will go ahead and start off just the same, so we're a little behind schedule. I know last commission we talked in November about, plans to meet in December and January to kind of get some stuff off the ground. We just met with the engineers, in Public Works, on Monday, this week. So we have been delayed just a little bit, but the project is still set to be completed by the end of this year. And so in front of you, I do have a rendering. It's an old rendering, of the dog park. This rendering was presented to you a couple years ago, when the engineering department was trying to utilize only a portion of the acreage for the dog park. Instead of the whole 2.5 acres, they kind of cut that in half, because we were working with a short budget. This was before Prop 68 funds were awarded to the city of Kingsburg. And so that's the closest rendering we have so far for that. But also, we also have the grant scope and cost estimate form for Prop 68. This is what we submitted to the state for the breakdown of the amenities we wanted to see at the park. And so it kind of gives you just a brief overview of what was included in the proposal: the landscaping, lighting, restrooms, shade structures, walking tracks, and play structure. And so with those amenities, we have to, as a commission, you have to kind of work together and kind of come up with some ideas on how you'd like that distributed throughout the park, utilizing, of course, the whole 2.5 acres. With that, I think that's our next homework assignment, to be able to kind of look at this park in general and fit those amenities well enough throughout the park to make it flow and be just a nice recreational area for the residents. So I wanted to be able to share that with you. Again, it's the 1.2 million for the project, funded by Prop 68. And the meeting that we had on Tuesday was just to give them the same overview. We gave them the amenities that are required, it's on that grant scope, and just some kind of basic highlights on where we'd like to see things. So as a commission, I don't know if you guys have any comments or already have some things you're more than welcome to highlight or mark up that page that I gave you. I know when we talk about shade structures, obviously you want them spaced out, throughout, so where you might want to see those. Same thing with the restroom. Engineers had a comment that it needs to be on a flat surface, flatter surface, and if you've been to the dog park, you see that it's a sloped basin, so that placement is going to be crucial to figuring out where it would go and what would best fit. Entrance is assuming to stay the same in the same area. Parking would be in addition to, but it wouldn't be taking any of the acreage. It would just be parking on the outside.
Would the bathroom be on the outside of the fence?
It could be outside of the current fence. It still has to stay within the property lines of the project. So the 2.5 acres is the city-owned property. That's the whole lot in itself. So it would have to fit within that boundary. There is that old radio tower that's currently there. And so there is a possibility, since it is city-owned, the possibility of making the proposal that we remove that radio tower and we can, place the restrooms in that general area. It would be outside the footprint of the project because it's not included in this general space, but, it is flatter surface towards the entrance, so that might be a better option for it, so.
And then, I'm sorry, remind me, when we talked about this budget, it says 1.2, we talked about the fencing being part of the landscaping, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and so when and this is what we reiterated to the engineer and the architect. So there's an architect working on a new rendering, utilizing all of the budget and certain aspects of the project, that we will present to you hopefully in February. I don't have my fingers crossed, but that's what we're shooting for. So you can actually see what the new project looks like, and then from there, instead of just kind of making things up, you can actually move things around the way that they have it. But yes, we told them the cinder block fencing along the freeway side is what we're looking for noise cancellation, for safety of the pets, just a complete brick wall on one side. And then Public Works Director Daniel Galvez proposed a wrought iron fencing around the other three sides of the park. It'd be the 7 to 8 foot wrought iron fencing all across. It'd be more difficult for people to climb and getting into the park, animals getting out, and then transients cutting the chain link. Currently, that's an issue going down to the King's Motel or whatever motel's right there. They cut across the park, cut the fencing to get in between. It's a faster route. He's hoping by putting something a little more permanent that they can't cut or scale, it would.
Is that whole fence, especially where Wabo is?
Correct.
Is that their fence or?
That's our fence.
It's wobbly.
Yeah, and that's what we have issues. People have cut that fence to get to the equipment of Wabo. So people have taken stuff off of their property, and the easiest route that's discreet is the back fencing rather than the street side fencing. So that's been an issue. Yeah, so hopefully they address that. And yeah, I think other than that, if you have any other questions or comments, you're more than welcome to take that with you and just kind of, my suggestion is just walking the dog park again. I know it's a project we've been working on for a while, but just getting out there and, you can see where the walking track is definitely going to be, because it's already there. You can already see where people are crossing. We talked about the restrooms. It's going to be the same prefab that we have at Athwal, so hopefully that comes through and you guys can kind of experience what those restrooms are like before this project gets committed. But I have full faith that they're going to be just as great, so we'll be able just to easily transfer them over and be more cost effective for us to do it that way anyway. And yeah, we did talk about the outdoor shower, the pet washing stations. There's a company in Texas that prefabs pet washing stations, and so we'd like to attach that to the restrooms. So we send that to the architect, and so we'll have some designs drawn up, hopefully when the rendering comes out, to attach that to the restrooms. And this way people will have the option of, you know, either the dogs get dirty out there, or, you know, they can, whatever they want, just go out there and, just stainless steel, put them out there, wash them up, and then bring them back. So hopefully that's a good
That's
amenity
nice to
for
have
people.
too, especially with the heat, just to cool them off.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. Before the walk, right, or after the walk, you know, as long as people aren't doing their laundry out there, I think we'll be okay. And they do have coin-operated options, but I think for its location, being out there, I think we're gonna shy away from that option, just because it'd be harder for the city to monitor, you know, who's using it, or who's trying to break into them, or any of that stuff. We'll just have it open and maybe on the timer for the public to utilize, so.
Were we looking at possibly having a small dog area, or were we leaving it is?
That,
We talked about that.
We did talk about having like a fence within the fence, or splitting.
I haven't heard of any company.
all together. And that, yeah, that'd be a recommendation from your commission, if that's, you know, I think it'd be best to have a smaller area just for dogs. We did shy away from the ADA play structure, so we had that discussion at a couple meetings ago that, you know, we don't want to mix like a general play structure with the dog park, because it's a different type of use. But we did suggest to the architects that we look at, like dog obstacle course or dog agility course pieces that maybe, you know, owners can, you know, work with their dogs or play with their dogs on, you know, on a more of a skill kind of obstacle level. So he is looking into that, so that will be part of the rendering. And that will be separate, they'll be separately fenced off. So that, you know, might be just, you know, I guess it would have to be for all dogs, but yes, when the rendering comes out, we can
Look and.
take a look, and you guys can mark up and, go from there. And any other suggestions you might have, I know you have some funding set aside, the commission does. There was a $5,000 grant, donation that the commission received, and I believe there was another one in there as well that you guys will have, the option of using for the dog park that's not related or into this grant directly. So whether it's buying additional benches or signage or whatever you guys want to see as decorative. I know at one point someone was talking about colorful, like, fire hydrants decorated throughout the park, painted differently so that it adds a different aesthetic, so we can, you know, use those funds for stuff like that, or pet waste receptacles throughout the park. That's not included in the original proposal, but things like that we could work on, so.
Signage too, right?
Signage, I know, Commissioner Moreno had mentioned he wanted a big dog bone on the radio tower saying Kingsburg Dog Park, so everyone could see it from the freeway, and neon sign at night and all that good stuff. So, and we could potentially, you know, have something like that that's, you know, and we use the $5,000 for, you know, signage off the freeway so that people can find it. You know, it's gonna be a pretty big park, I don't think they're gonna miss it, so.
Are we still potentially thinking we would have, car charging stations there?
I talked to Daniel Galvez, Public Works Director, and there's kind of hit and miss. I think there are certain qualifications that Tesla looks for before planting certain areas. Shopping areas opportunities have to be within walking distance. There has to be certain attractions and restrooms and stuff available, because charging stops can vary between 25 minutes and 45 minutes. And so the idea was that, you know, we might not meet those qualifications, because if they go to a dog park, there's not really a lot for someone to do other than, unless they're with their animals. But if they're not, it doesn't entice people to stay and stop there. If there was a Target nearby or a Walmart or something that, you know, they could, I know Bravo, I think Bravo's has one in Traver, correct?
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity to do something. Denny's, you can sit at Denny's for an hour, I think that'd be pretty good. But there are still options where we could look into, while working with Fresno County on, a few charging stations, but not like the Tesla 10 to 15 that goes across
I
the
was
side.
thinking like a couple.
Oh, yes, then yes, that is an option. Before, Councilmember Roman retired, she left a good relationship with, the Fresno, Transit Authority, and so we can still rely on them to kind of partner with certain projects, so I think that'll work.
Was there talk about possibly like a memorial? That for like animals that attack, a way to raise money before,
Oh, like if we did the brick, or we did the.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of. Sort of.
Yeah, you guys did bring up the reinstatement of the brick project for the dog park and for the finalization of the skate park. Still working on the details of that, I mean, but yeah, that could be, I'm excited, hopefully by next month, or within the next couple of months, to show you the rendering of what we're looking for. This way you guys can get a colored image of what it's supposed to be like. And I think once we hit that milestone, then it'll be a lot easier for you to look at it and kind of figure out what you want, or what you'd like to see. And also get more public input at that point. We can just send that out and say, hey, this is what we're thinking, and then continue going from there. And, because I think it's important that we continue to have public involvement and have them, you know, this is their dog park. This is gonna be something that they will use, hopefully, and, I know I'm excited, so.
If we have it by Swedish Festival, that can be our, like,
Yep.
thing, right?
And signage, yep, we can definitely have something like that. Yeah, but any other questions? I think we're good. I mean, so like I said, please feel free to take those with you. Walk the dog park if you have a moment to. And anything in particular that you'd like to see out there, or just let us know. I mean, even subcommittee, I know you guys had worked on some stuff a while ago, but, you know, might just be best to, you know, wait for that rendering to come out, and then you guys can, you know, really dig in and go from there. This way, it's not like, you know, I think a couple of years ago, it was kind of like a walk in the dark, because kind of given some direction, but it wasn't like, well, what are we supposed to do? And, but now you have money that we know is allocated for it, and you know what's supposed to be out there, so. It'd be good.
Awesome, that's exciting. Move things around, yeah. Okay, item number 6, Kingsburg, senior resource fair.
Yes. Last meeting in November, we just discussed having a senior citizen resource fair, at the senior center in that parking lot area. Tri-County, presented grant funds to Kingsburg Senior Citizens, Inc. to host a fair, and it would just be a free resource fair to seniors to come out and learn about what services and agencies are out there to serve them, throughout the county of Fresno. And, so we're looking at a proposed date of May 5th, which is the first Friday in May. And I know it's a Cinco de Mayo day, but I think it's a celebration day anyway, so we might as well capitalize on that. And, so I know majority of you, if not all of you, had already said that you were interested in sitting on that committee. So as soon as we know more, we can send that out to you. And we just need help getting in contact with agencies that serve seniors, that provide services to seniors, to come out, invite them for the day, so they can set up a booth. We'll be doing free food. There'll be some type of free meal for seniors to come out and participate. I know Senior Inc. wants to see some live entertainment, some live music out there, and they're shooting for Elvis. But I mean, I can't guarantee he's going to be there, but you know, that's what they like to see. And just again, just be a free day for them to go out there, and yeah. So once I know more, we'll definitely send it out. But that is a tentative date, and it'll be at the senior center and in that parking lot. So we close off the parking lot, set up all the booths outside, tables, chairs. And whether we get taco trucks or food trucks just come out and, you know, seniors eat free, anyone can come out and, you know, participate, and just have a good time, give them an opportunity to learn what's out there, so. Yeah.
There was one, this was actually when I worked for a different nonprofit, but I went to one at one of the community centers in Fresno, and part of their presentation was they connected with, I want to say it was the interns from, like, Fresno State Nutritionists, and they did a kitchen, demonstration, and then they served lunch, and then they also had I don't know if it was through it might have been the state, but it was actually a cookbook.
Oh, okay.
And it was a free cookbook to everybody there. So I don't,
Do you think that was through Fresno State, or do you think you'd be able to find a?
so long ago.
It's a great concept, but if we could
I
find.
know that it was a nutrition / cookbook, and it was probably, I don't know if it was state or federal,
Okay,
but it's probably still in existence.
okay. But yeah, I'd love to look into that to see what we can, provide for them, and again, it's just a day to give them an opportunity to kind of see what's out there. I know with Meals on Wheels, with tax services, with healthcare, I know the phone stuff is an issue, being able to have the Life Alert contact, is something that they're interested. And then there are those that are interested in more specific, so the areas of Alzheimer's and dementia, there are support groups out there. They just don't know are out there, and so we can kind of connect them to that. I know Habitat for Humanity has a senior division, that have helped several seniors here in Kingsburg with leaking roofs, ACs that don't work over the summer. They kind of come in and take care of that for them, so.
Does Fresno County have Rebuilding Together through, Habitat or anybody else?
I know I've worked with a couple of reps from Habitat. I don't know if they've connected with the county at all, but they do have a rep or some kind of connection with the city of Fresno. But yeah, they have come out in the last several years, so, yeah. But anyways, yes, so that ends that portion for me, so if you have any questions, just let me know.
Were we also talking about, offering more, classes to the senior center? We were talking about computer classes and things like that, separate from the resource fair, I believe.
Something available, so working directly with Senior Inc., or just?
For the senior center, just in general, offering like activities, smart activities.
Yeah, something broader than what they have.
Okay.
I mean, because one of the requests I get is, can you help me with my iPad, or can you help me with,
Yeah.
Checking my email, things like that.
Partner with T-Mobile for their community service.
Oh. Well, there you go. Yeah, we could definitely work with that, and definitely work with Senior Inc. on getting some stuff. I know the Tri-County gave them a grant last year for $26,000, to help with their programming. And so that included painting classes, ceramic classes, exercise classes, line dancing they do on Tuesdays, anything that was physical or health related. Those funds went to beef up those programs for them. And then their free farmers markets they have on Tuesdays. They'll start taking field trips in the next couple of months. We'll restart that program again, so they can take a monthly trip wherever the group decides, but usually it's either a casino or someplace coastal. Excuse me, those are the only two things that keep popping up in that hat. Kind of give them, hey, a suggestion box, and then the only thing that comes up is we want to spend money and we want to see the ocean. So that's all I got for them, so.
Awesome trail.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I think something related to technology would be
Be nice.
smart though.
And how would we facilitate, so we'd have to have someone with the knowledge available to them, or we'd have to train staff to, so we get requests, people will come into the senior center, someone needed to do like a teledoc with one of their doctors, but they couldn't get it on their iPad, so we had to set them up at the senior center on their computer, on one of our computers. So little things like that, but, it'd be nice to have like a computer lab or an area for them to be able to do that on a regular basis, I know the library has a lot of resources, but I don't know if they have like a senior, advocate or someone who's there, ready to serve them, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can look into that.
I know, is it Traver Cap, have something like that to their community?
Oh, yeah, I think Kingsburg Kiwanis went and spent money and created like a computer lab or library for, the Traver community. And so kids could actually go into that area, into K-CAPS or T-CAPS, I think they call it in Traver, and, do their homework after school, and the computers are available, so.
Yeah. I mean, that might be, even if it's just as simple as like,
Really, like my father-in-law, you know how you have to swipe up to clear your pages? When I went to see him, he had over 300 pages.
Wow.
How did his phone even work?
I know, but, it's those little things that they don't even know, they don't even think about. And so if we could just even, like I said, partner with T-Mobile or partner with kids that need hours. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if teenagers connected and they, part of community service that they needed to do, an hour at the senior center, and they, you know, you had a little, you know, 5 teenagers working with 5 elders.
That's a good idea.
I like it. I like it.
And hopefully they'd be more patient with, you know, somebody that's not their grandma, right? You know what I mean?
There's a lot of
Or mom.
skills that could be learned, a lot of people. Awesome, well, I'm excited about the resource there.
Yeah. So it should be a good thing.
So I'm excited to get more info on that, see how I can help. All right, item number 7, Tri-County Healthcare District Grant Cycle 2023 discussion.
So we did a presentation to city council, at the last council meeting. As the majority of you know, Tri-County offers grants for, health-related, programs or programming for the local district area. And, so they've, in the last several years, have given a substantial amount of funding to the Community Services Department and the Fire Department with programs, and projects. Crandall Swim Complex, Ethel Park, Senior Center Kitchen, the new ambulances, and new fire trucks and stuff like that. And, so their grant cycle is now. We're going to be presenting project ideas to council February 15th. And, I know the last meeting, we had discussed if this commission has funding available to them for certain projects. Still working on an answer for that, but this is the opportunity for our projects to get funded, for certain projects, right? And I think every major project this commission has focused on in the last several years has been completed or in the process of being completed, and a lot of it is thanks to Tri-County, with Athwell Park, with the skate park, with the resurfacing of the pool, and with Senior Center Kitchen. So there are projects that fall within our purview that Tri-County feels is, you know, obviously is enough for them to give us grant funding. So, one project that we do have already on the docket, is replacing the bark at Downtown Park and Memorial Park. So Commissioner Chambliss brought that up at the last meeting, and so when I met with the engineers, I told them that was an upcoming project. To get rid of the bark, and to do the pour and play rubber, standard like all our other parks, just so that we can, you know, make it easier transition for all our parks to be the same, you know, plus of safety and convenience to parents, because the bark, you know, can be a little hazardous, a little messy, and it's not always the greatest when it comes to
It's dangerous.
protecting kids, right?
At school, I was out on the playground, and I stepped in the wood chips for the playground, and one went through my sandal.
Ouch. This is current, right? This is like 3rd grade?
No, it was
Okay.
like a year ago.
Okay. I don't want to traumatize you that long, but.
No, I was an adult, it was like,
Anyways, these are I think these are, well, no, I shouldn't say these are the 2 last parks, because we do have several parks that utilize the wood chip. But these would be the 2 city main parks that, you know, we could make the transition to. And all new parks coming in are standard, the pour and play rubber. So, and that's what you see at Athol Park, that's what you see at Summerlin Park. So yeah, so any other projects that you might feel that, you know, are important or things that we can definitely approach?
We had talked about, and this is my bad memory, about having a park, and maybe it's already happening, this is why I don't remember, I'm not clear on the conversation. A park for, children that have, you know, sensory issues. And is that already on the books with one of these new places?
So
The
we
new-
do have a park that we are trying to work with the developers on making an ADA accessible, not compliant, accessible, allowing it so that the structures would have ramps, so that those with mobility issues could still utilize the actual play structure instead of just being out there. Swings that were able to kind of accommodate things like that, different harnesses, so that, you know, so there is a company, I know, and I just got this today, so I'll have to look through it. But there are catalogs that are coming in that we've requested to come in, that have certain recreational amenities that, you know, will encompass things like that. So that would be at the Veterans Park. I don't know if it has an official name yet. And so there is a design out there, floating around, for a park. It would be the new developments over there off of Academy and Cam. And it's a Veterans Memorial Park. So the idea is to have a memorial plaque for all service members, and then to have the flags of each of the branches displayed, throughout the park. And with that, I just assume there's a connection there. You can have, an ADA accessible compliant park component, with that park. It's a new development, and, so that's what we're working on, but definitely something we can branch out and,
As a resident, can I be a resident real fast? Shade structures at the parks that don't have it, like Heritage Park. I used to live over there, and the parks are not accessible, for 8 months out of the year. The kids
Right.
can't go on it. It's too hot. The trees had to be cut down. There's absolutely no shade over there.
Well, it's the same thing with assessing the current parks. And, 'cause we've, like you said, we've done the skate park, we've done, we've done things with asphalt, but other parks that we could do maybe beyond the new one we're talking about, the Veterans Park, but that we could do more around, shade, ADA accessibility, but also the sensory, the kids, it's the sound and the touch and all the stuff, and it sounds so naive, I don't know enough about it, but I think it's important so that it's for all kids, not just the physically able child, or, so, I don't know if that's a park assessment. I know we did one when I very first got on this, committee, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, no, it hasn't been that long, I guess.
It's been 6 years for me, so
Okay, so maybe it was 3 years ago, but, if there's 1 or 2 parks that we could take a look at that maybe would fall in line with,
Maybe add 1 or 2 pieces.
yeah,
Because I know
something
that those
simple, not
pieces
a
aren't
huge,
very
not a
big.
huge, skate park project, but just something that focuses on,
They have the little chimes that can be
Yeah.
low, or they have the little drums if chimes are too loud for the area. They have the little drums or something, just a small piece.
So how would you like to approach it? Would you like to do another walkthrough of certain parks? Are there certain parks you just want us to focus on in general? I mean, Asphalt Park, I think, is new and it's got a lot going on, so we could probably just cross that one off for now.
Right.
Any of the new developments, whether it's the Veterans Memorial or the Summerlin, those, but between Heritage, Memorial, and Downtown, those would be the 3 additional parks, the older parks that we have. We could potentially pin those and kind of see what, a lot of it you'll have to keep in mind is the space already allocated for that park. So if you want to add a merry-go-round, there's no fall zone that can encompass that where it's currently landscaped, unless you're removing an amenity. So we have to, just kind of be mindful of that.
Well, for example, it'd be this park that has the digging contraption.
The diggers, yep.
If we're going to redo that, there'll be nothing to dig.
Yeah, unless we just keep it a sand pit. Be my original, we just concrete block it off, or just kind of block it off and just have a sand pit with that digger instead of I think we placed those in 2018, 2019.
Yeah, those are fairly new.
They're fairly new.
Yeah,
Or we just keep it with wood chip, but I don't know if kids dig to the wood chip or not.
they do.
Okay.
That's the key. Yeah, the wood chips, I would probably say wood chips rather than the sand pit because of the cat. Big litter box. I don't need to find those. Maybe just a little, so we keep that, or if we replace that and move that into one of the other parks that we might not be redoing the flooring, put one of the sensory equipment there. That one, other park. But yeah, the sensory stuff is something to look into.
Yeah.
I just think of some of the different museums that you've gone to that have stuff. And they're not super big pieces.
So just addition to, can you add, I'm assuming there are those you can add to the actual structure that's already there.
Yeah, they just have like a little wall that, maybe unscrew something that's already there. I know we've talked about that, also that, is the little tree climbing thing. Remove that piece.
Oh, the one that people think is a slide?
Yeah, and replace that
That's
if
not
they
a
need
slide.
it. So I think there's options and stuff to add to our already, good parks.
It's already out there.
And it could be more inclusive.
Okay.
That's ultimately what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and would that be something that would be potentially added or presented in that grant?
It can be, or it would just be something that we add to the city's capital improvements for the coming year. So depending on the scale of it, I mean, if you're looking at a sensory board, to add to the play structures, and it's $1,500, then it might be something we just request, through my higher ups on adding it to capital improvement for next year. But if we want to see shade structures for all the parks that don't have it, then, that would be something we could go to Tri-County and say, hey, this is, what we're looking at, so.
Yeah.
But okay, then I will put,
Shade and water bottles, like the high school has the water bottles, so that.
Oh, like what we have here?
Yeah,
We have a-
yeah, like we have downtown.
okay,
If we could do that in shade, that would
the
be.
shade. So if you were
And that'd
looking, if you're looking at these parks, your emphasis or focus on improvements would be inclusivity for all kids and for shade, right? For heat protection, sun exposure, hydration. Okay,
Probably just replace that one water fountain thing that we have. Like, so that was,
yeah.
that station is very useful when we're walking.
Okay.
Just refill the bottle.
At least you use the park.
Downtown.
I haven't been, I mean, I don't take my kids to the park yet, but, I walk by them, I inspect them to make sure nothing's falling off or broken, but I don't play at the park.
You're missing out.
I think one time I got caught playing on at the slide at Athlone, and someone took a picture of me and saying some grown man was playing at the park, and I wasn't playing, I was inspecting a slide, and it got to my parents, and it became a thing, like I was, that was the last time I got on the slide, because people were watching you out there, so. But, it was a picture of me, it wasn't a great picture either, it was, but I was protecting our kids, that's what I was doing.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
So, anyways, but yeah, so I will put some of that stuff together. If you have any specific projects you have in mind, those I will take, and, I will use those points for the inclusivity and, heat protection and hydration and all that, and include that, into the grant for this coming cycle. And next meeting, I'll have numbers, that's the whole point of this. The sooner you get it to me, the sooner I can get numbers, so that we can present it. The engineer's already working on the pour and play, so that hopefully by the our February meeting, we'll already have had something presented saying that this is what it's gonna cost for this project, so. Yeah, but okay, cool. Other than that, that's all I have for that. If anyone has any other questions for me.
Okay, yeah. So something for us to do, walk through those three parks, Heritage, Downtown, Memorial, some of the ideas.
If anyone wants to take this catalog, they're more than welcome to, just to kind of look at certain options, different options. I know you say sensory, but sometimes you don't really think what they're talking about, but there are certain, like I said, there are music boards, sound boards, there are chimes on here, there are swings that are situated so that, you can get harnessed in rather than just sitting on the thing. So yeah, and these are all pieces that we could take out from the current ones. Like I know one of them has like a wheel, right? And they just stand there and pretend they're driving. To remove that board and put a different board on there that has something different.
Okay.
So, with that, we could,
Awesome. All right. Item number 8, unscheduled matters for commissioner members for discussion only. Action may not be taken. Items must appear on the agenda as a specific item for action to be.
anything you'd like to see on the next agenda item or anything like that? Is this where they talk about calendar though, when their next meeting is? The next meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So,
Can I get copies of this? Awesome, thank you.
February,
Because it looks like some are full for the whole year.
the 22nd, February 22nd.
Is that okay for everyone so far? You can pencil it in there, February 22nd at 5:30. Let me make it, okay. Alrighty.
All right, so we will, reconvene February 22nd, 5:30, and, we'll adjourn our meeting. We do a motion to adjourn? Okay. Yes. Motion to adjourn our meeting.
Motion it, what's the right wording? I vote to adjourn.
There you go. Second?